I created this training because I wanted to teach insurance agents and financial advisors how to stop chasing people and start attracting premium clients on demand. And I can promise you, if you think you have a leads problem, you don't have a leads problem. You either have a visibility problem, which means not enough people even know you exist. So that means you're stuck chasing leads, trying to prove your worth to them, trying to qualify to them when they need to be qualifying to you. Or you have a trust problem, which means people see you, but they don't believe you enough to book a call. And even if they do book a call, they don't show up half the time. And even if they do show up half the time, they don't buy without hesitation. And that's a problem. Or maybe you got leads, maybe you get clients, but you have a problem scaling, which means you're stuck closing tiny, small policies. And you know, those small policies, they're always the ones that charge back. They're always the ones that burn you out and keep you stuck on that hamster wheel, up 1 month, down the next, working twice as hard for half of the results that you actually deserve. So what you're going to learn in this training is how to fix all three problems faster than you ever thought possible. And if you did nothing else but follow this framework, there's no way you're going to fail. So let's go ahead and get started. This is how to make $10,000 to $25,000 a month selling life insurance online without recruiting, buying leads, cold calling, begging for referrals, or selling to friends and family, because God knows friends and family never buy from us. All right, so let's go ahead and hop into it. I want to go ahead and set the tone for this training because there's this book called The Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill. It's a book that I picked up right when I got into the insurance industry. And there was in the very first chapter, this quote right here that I have highlighted. And I want to read through it real quick. Life insurance has been reduced to such a scientific basis that the cost of insurance doesn't vary to any great extent, regardless of the company from which one purchases it. Yet, out of hundreds of life insurance companies doing business, less than a dozen companies do the bulk of the business in the United States. Why? Personalities. Everybody say personalities, personalities, right? 99 people out of every 100 who purchase life insurance don't even know what's in their policies. And what seems crazy about that, they don't even seem to care. Why? Because of what they really purchased was the pleasing personality of some man or woman who knows the value of creating such a personality. And this right here is the whole game, because people don't buy the policy, they buy you. That's why you can have two insurance agents working for the same exact company with the same exact product, but one person is doing 10 times the amount of business. That is the secret. That is the key. And so if you're sitting here thinking you need better leads, or you need a better CRM, or you need some kind of secret sales script to close more deals, you don't. You just need to become the type of person that people want to buy from. And that's what this training is about. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do. This is Hillary. She's a brand new agent, no big following, no sales background. As a matter of fact, she had been licensed for less than 12 months with PHP. And less than a year ago, she watched this training, applied what she learned, and within a few weeks, she was up getting her own appointments booked on her calendar. Now, these are not random people who booked on her calendar. These were people who wanted to talk specifically to her. That's the power of what you're going to learn today. No begging, no cold calling, just a simple step-by-step framework for how you can get this going for yourself. And as you can see here, she sent me this text message when she got her first appointment after getting this going. All right. Now, quick disclaimer. This is actually one of my pay stubs when I first crossed over to making six figures. I went from like $50,000 in 1 year to making over $310,000 the next. And I want to go ahead and let you know right out the gate that you're not going to make $310,614 in the next 12 months. All right. But I am going to show you a business model that actually does that. As a matter of fact, I don't know about you guys, but when I first got started, I just wanted to make more money than I was making in my original job. I was paycheck to paycheck. I was struggling to take care of my wife, my kids, and they were all dependent on me. But here I am, like barely making any money, at least not any consistent, significant money. I got into this business for financial freedom, and all I found was financial struggle in the beginning. And one day I made a decision. I said, Brandon, you're making this too hard on yourself. And I think what a lot of us do is we set the bar so high and we go out and say, hey, we want to make $100,000 or $200,000 or whatever that number is. But how do you get there, right? There's this old saying, like, how do you eat an elephant? And it's always one bite at a time. And I remember hearing that quote. I said, you know what, Brandon, I'm thinking about this too big. I need to chunk it down. So what I did was I had to figure out, okay, if I want to make $100,000 for the year, and if you want to make $100,000 for the year, you want to chunk that down, right? Let's chunk it down by weeks. When I chunked it down by weeks, I found out that all it would take is for me to make $1,923.08 per week. And then I said, okay, well, how many policies would I have to write in order for me to make $1,923.08 a week? And I found out that if I wrote just one policy per week at $500 per month, then that would equal $100,000 per year. All right. And now currently I write between 4 to 6 policies per month. And each one of these policies pays anywhere between $1,500 all the way up to $8,000 in first year commissions. Now, when you break it down, one policy a week at $500 per month, that doesn't really seem like a lot, right? It seems real doable, doesn't it? Exactly. It is. And so this is the business model I'm actually going to share with you all tonight. Now, in order to make this attainable, you got to understand that there's only two types of insurance agents out there. Which one are you? See, most agents out there operate like hunters. What does that mean? It means they wake up every single day starving, chasing their next meal. They cold call, they beg for referrals. They're praying one of those $20 leads actually picks up the phone and remembers filling out the form. Always in survival mode. One bad week away from being broke because they have no leverage, no system, no peace. But the top producers are not hunters. The top producers are farmers. What does that mean? It means that they plant seeds, they water those seeds grow, and they create a harvest. And inside of that harvest, there's more seeds. And then they plant those seeds, and it continues to go on and go on and go on, and it multiplies just like that. So these seeds are your content. Your content is what's going to build trust in public. And when that harvest comes, clients are going to start chasing you. That's what social influence really is. It's not about being famous. You don't got to be famous to build a big business online. If you start doing this consistently, people are going to come to you already trusting you, already sold on the value of what you have. And today I'm going to show you exactly how to build that farm so that way you can stop waking up every single morning wondering where your next meal is going to come from. Now, I don't want you to waste the next 60 minutes on this training and you find out like it's really ain't for you. So I just want to go ahead and let you know right now that if you're a brand new life insurance agent and you're tired of chasing friends and family, I'm actually going to show you how to build a six-figure life insurance business online, even if you don't have a big following, a fancy website, or the money to pay for leads. If you're a new agent and you want to learn how to market and sell advanced strategies using cash value insurance policies like IULs, this is definitely a trainer for you. Now, let's just say if you're an experienced life insurance agent, whether you're making six figures or not, and you feel stuck, burnt out, I'm actually going to show you how you can begin attracting your dream clients using one presentation that runs for you 24/7, even while you sleep. So if that sounds like what you're looking for, then you're in the right place. If not, man, I appreciate you for checking this out up to this point. But hey, I wish you nothing but the best in your future. All right. And by the end of this class, you're going to know exactly how to attract. And by the end of this training, you're actually going to know exactly how to attract qualified clients, close high premium policies, and become the go-to agent in your market, even if no one knows who you are yet, by using one simple presentation that sells for you 24/7, builds your brand, and turns your content into a client magnet without begging for referrals or spending another dollar on leads again. And if you're serious enough to stay to the end, I'm actually going to give you the exact playbook that I used to close over $10 million in index universal life insurance premium. All right. So who am I and why should you listen to me? Maybe you shouldn't because my kids definitely don't listen to me. All right. But anyway, I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I believe in God, family, and business ownership in that exact order. I'm also an award-winning licensed financial professional. I've been in the business for almost 10 years. I've closed over $10 million in premium, all on my own pen, no cold calls, no buying leads, no team to recruit, none of that stuff. This is a picture of me back in 2019 when I was with World Financial Group at their annual conference. And then to the right, this is me with the CEO of Emeritus Life Insurance Company, where I got inducted into their inner circle. And what is the inner circle? In the inner circle is a group of their elite agents, agents who have attained a certain amount of production in a 12-month period. And they give you this cool little green jacket. I guess it's a cool little green jacket. It's not like the green jacket that you get for the masters, but I guess this means you're a master life insurance salesman or advisor. All right. It goes without saying, I've helped hundreds of families, even pro athletes, entertainers, but I'm not here to name drop because none of that stuff mattered in the beginning. Because I started with the same struggle most agents find themselves in, just trying to figure out how to make it in this business without burning out or selling my soul in the process. So I'm going to take you all the way back to 2017 when I first got licensed because I wanted to make more money. And this just seemed like the best way to do it. So I quit my job. Then a couple months later, in January, I found out that my girlfriend's pregnant. And let me tell you, everything changed because the pressure was hitting, right? Bills are due, rent piling up. My girl's counting on me, got a baby on the way. I just remember being afraid one night and stressed out. And I sat down and I wrote this letter to myself because I was reading that book, Laws of Success, and it talked about the power of being intentional, to write down your goals, making the vision plain and clear. Are you intentional? Do you write down your goals? Like, do you read over them every day? If not, then that might be something that's really your first step to transforming your life and making the type of money that you want to make is just that step right there. So I wrote it down. I said by July 1st, I was going to have $50,000 saved. I was going to be running 30 appointments a week and I was going to be a top producer. Man, let me tell you, none of that stuff happened by July the 1st. But the reason why it didn't happen was because of the same things that you find yourself struggling in, being taught the old way to do business. I started my journey with this company called American Income Life. Now, at American Income Life, they gave me free leads and they said, hey, man, this is going to be so easy because these are people who already requested their insurance and they work with a union. I'm like, oh, that sounds easy enough. You mean to tell me all I got to do is go out there and give them their free insurance and then help them get a new insurance plan, like a paid one, and I make money? And it was like, yeah, that's all you got to do. Seems easy. Right? Very first day, I'm calling, getting hung up on, getting cussed out. But this was so crazy. They said that if they don't answer the phone, then you want to drive out to their house, knock on their door, and then show them the little postcard that they filled in. I'm over here driving to people's houses, random strangers, showing them this postcard that they done filled out like 20 years ago. And it was just a waste of time. All right. And I quickly figured out after about 3 months in the business that I didn't need to waste my time talking to people who filled out a form 30 years ago to get some free insurance. I said, I need to focus my time on getting in front of people who are already looking to buy life insurance. So what did I do? I go on YouTube. And then on YouTube, I see this guy named Sean Mike promoting this new company called Family First Life. They promoted high contracts. You can be your own boss. You can be a broker. You're vested from day one. You got all your renewals and everything just sounded so great. But here, I had to buy my own leads. But hey, if I'm buying my own leads, at least I'm buying leads from people who actually requested to be called. So I thought. And so I couldn't afford the good leads because those was like $40 a piece. So I had to buy the cheap leads. That was $2 and $5. I buy a stack and I'm calling them up. And it was the same exact problem that I ran into at AIL. I was calling a bunch of people who requested some information from like 5, 10, 15 years ago who have been called over and over and over by agent after agent after agent. But then I said, you know what? Maybe it's because I'm buying these cheap leads. Let me go ahead and buy some of these expensive leads, these Facebook leads. You know, the ones where you got to pay $30 a lead, $40 a lead, and you got to get a minimum of like 20 or 30. Yeah. Bought some of those, had to max out my girl's credit card, destroyed her credit. That's a story for a different day. But let's just say, even with the final expense leads, they were a lot better than the agents. Don't get me wrong. It was still more of the same. I'm calling people, wasting time. They would be like, hey, I just want a quote. Or, yeah, I filled that out on accident. So out of 20 people, I'm lucky to close one or two, but I literally had to work so hard just to barely break even, if that. And that's not even counting chargebacks. And then one day I said, I'm not doing this final expense insurance anymore. I'm not doing this mortgage protection term insurance anymore. I want to do advanced strategies. I want to do IULs. I want to do annuities because that's not selling insurance. That's helping people build wealth. And so I was introduced to this company called World Financial Group. And at World Financial Group, I met this brother and he told me he never bought leads, but he always had appointments. And I'm like, well, how do you always have appointments if you're never buying leads? He was like, man, pull out your phone. I pull out my phone. He's like, let me hold it real quick. He goes to my contacts. He says, here's all your leads right here. Now I'm at World Financial Group. They sit me down with something called a memory jogger, and I'm writing down 100 people that I haven't talked to since the first grade. Okay, maybe the first grade is a little bit extreme, but I'm calling up people that I ain't talked to since college and high school, old coworkers, and I'm trying to invite them down to this meeting or set up training appointments. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. And I just didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to do it anymore because one day I was scrolling on social media and I saw this guy right here. And some of you guys might know who this guy is, but a long time ago, he used to promote this tax and accounting business. And I remember looking at one of the posts that he had created and I looked in the comments and there was literally hundreds of people who were practically begging for this man's help. And that's when I was like, this is what I need to learn how to do. Let me ask you a question. Have you been scared to put yourself out there, but deep down, you know it's the next step? Have you? Because if you know it's the next step, I'm here to confirm that for you. It is the only next step. The people who don't put themselves out there, the people who don't go out and build their brand will not make it in this business moving forward. All right. And so I came to that realization and I decided that I was going to go ahead and make it a reality. So I came up with this plan. And I decided I was going to focus on using social media to attract leads, but I didn't have a lot of followers. As a matter of fact, this is a screenshot I took back in 2020 of my Instagram page right here. And you see I have less than 1,000, only had 700 followers. I didn't have fancy equipment. I didn't have all these things that I saw other people have online. All I had was my iPhone and a $40 whiteboard that I got from Amazon. No team, no studio, just me in the belief that I didn't have anything to lose, but I had everything to gain. So I started going live every single day and I was just sharing everything that I had been learning, just providing value, teaching people about taxes, teaching the people how to become their own bank, teaching people about retirement, teaching people business strategies. And something interesting happened. The more I shared, I started getting people reaching out. First, it started with friends and family. Then it started with strangers who were just scrolling by and they said, man, I've been looking for something like that. And from those lives, I started booking appointments. And I got so busy from the appointments that I said, man, I can't meet with everybody. I can't go live every single day like I used to. I need to set up an automated funnel. And so I set up an automated funnel. And this right here made it so I didn't have to go live anymore. It did all of the selling for me, right? So by the time they booked, they already knew who I helped, what I had, why it worked, and why they wanted, right? I didn't have to explain anything anymore. All I had to do was basically take their order. And now with the invention of AI and automation over these last couple of years, we were able to take that presentation and add on what we call a chat funnel. So now when people watch a presentation, instead of hopping on a call or scheduling a discovery call, we set up AI chats and DMs to book calls for us. Right. So they watch the video. If they like what they see, they send me a message. The AI takes over. It qualifies them if they're a good fit and they want to learn more, then the AI books a call for me. So no cold calls, no nothing. And by following that process, it was able to lead me to this type of production. Over a 3-year period, I wrote $10 million and I didn't cold call a single person. I didn't knock on any doors. They all came to me and I made a lot of money, but more importantly, I helped a lot of people. And by following that system, I was able to build that personal brand. It was almost like one day I woke up and I just checked my calendar and it was full. Wouldn't you love to wake up to a full calendar of clients already ready to work with you? What would your business look like if you didn't have to call a single person, if you didn't have to text a single person? What would it look like if you woke up tomorrow morning and your calendar was booked for the next 3-4 days without having to do anything? It feel pretty good, right? It would feel pretty good, right? And so ultimately, I just want to say this before we get into the step by step. At first, I thought it was about making 6 figures. I thought that was going to be the key to all my problems. But as I worked through that process, I realized that success wasn't just about money. It was about who I needed to become in order to earn it. I needed confidence and belief in myself. That's what you want. Right. But more than anything, I wanted to make my family proud. And I know you want to make your family proud. You want to be able to show them what's possible when you believe in yourself and you refuse to quit. So the transformation isn't just about building a business. It's also about becoming the kind of person who can change lives, starting with the people who mean the most to you. And these are the people who mean the most to me. So I say all that to say this. After almost 10 years, I discovered the hard way. And if you've been struggling, this is probably why. Number one, you've been taught to start with your friends and family, make the list, right? Then you burn through your warm market and it gets awkward real fast. And then after you burn through your list, you got to move on to cold calling strangers or walking up to random people in Walmart or Target, complimenting them on their shirt or on their hat just to strike up a conversation so that you could try to get their phone number and trying to sell a policy, right? Or you're just buying leads, cold calling strangers, grinding on the phones, getting ghosted, rejected, hung up on 99% of the time. You buy cheap leads. Now you're spending hundreds of dollars every single month on cheap leads that are been recycled, been dialed, and ran through hundreds of times, if not thousands of times, but nobody's actually interested. And then you go from the cheap leads to say, you know what? Let me go ahead and buy these $40 expensive leads because they are qualified. They've watched the video. They've gone through this process. Or you invest $3,000, $5,000, or $10,000 into a lead vendor system or a marketing agency, and you still struggle to close. And you want to know why you struggle to close? We're gonna get in that in a little bit because some of you might be thinking, actually, that'll come up at some point. And I'll tell you, this ain't about why those things don't work. I'm here to share with you what will work, right? You try out door knocking, networking events, lunch and learns, hustling face to face like it's 1995. And then when you've tried all these things, you go back and you repeat the process. You turn back to recruiting just to survive, and you just repeat that process over and over and over, which means you stuck in that same cycle. But you don't got to do that anymore. I'm actually going to show you how you can make $10,000 or more per month selling life insurance online, even if you're not a natural born salesman, even if you don't have money to buy leads, even if nobody knows your name. So how am I going to do that? Well, the first thing I'm going to teach you is secret number one. This is the instant influence framework. This is how to ethically get people to want to buy life insurance from you before you ever get on a call with them. The next thing I'm going to teach you is the expert authority method. This is how to be seen as an expert, even if you don't feel like one yet. And then lastly is secret number 3. This is the organic lead machine, how to create viral videos that consistently attract premium leads without ads, cold calls, or a big following. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. Secret number 1, how to ethically get people to want to buy life insurance from you before you ever get on a call with them. So have you ever been in a competitive situation with another insurance agent? I have. As a matter of fact, my very first IUL policy, I was in a competitive situation with another insurance agent. This is when I said I was not going to sell final expense or term insurance anymore, and I was only going to focus on annuities and IULs and advanced strategies like that. I immediately began thinking of my best friend. This is Sean. That's my boy right there. And I thought of him because he owned a successful alarm business. He's one of my oldest friends, and he's even the godfather to my kids. And so I sat him down. I started teaching him everything I had learned. I talked about the cap rates, the floor rates, the participation rates, how much money he was going to have in retirement. We put in his application. Then a couple weeks later, I'm sitting on his patio and he's like, hey, man, I met this guy down at the community center. And he was showing me this account where I could put my money in it. And when the stock market goes up, I would make money. But if the stock market crashed, I wouldn't lose anything. And I'm like, bro, that's literally what I've been telling you about. He was like, for real? And I'm like, yeah, man, like, we already put your application in. He was like, oh, my bad, man. He was like, well, the other agent sent me some numbers to look at and I put in an application with him. I'm like, wait, what? You put in an application with him? And he was like, yeah. And so I asked him, like, man, well, let me see like what he showed you. So he gave me the illustration, and my product was actually better than the product that the other agent had. And after a couple of weeks of back and forth, my friend decided to go with the other agent anyway. And I'm just like, my heart just sank. Like, how would you feel if your best friend chose another person, like a random stranger, straight off the street after you were the one who initially gave them the information? That doesn't feel good. See, I was a little bit mad about it, but I wasn't mad enough to where I didn't want to learn why the other person was able to basically steal my client. You get what I'm saying? So I reach out to him, we have a conversation, and I quickly figured out what he had that I didn't. He had a very simple presentation, and his presentation was not talking about numbers and spreadsheets and charts and features. This presentation was story based, and it taught concepts, and these concepts spoke to my brother's emotions, not his logic. And that's when it hit me. I lost my brother's business because I was selling numbers, whereas the other guy was presenting meaning. And that's when I realized that it's not about having the best product or even knowing the most. It's about showing people the real problem you're solving and telling the right story that makes them feel like you're the only one who gets them. Are you getting that? I hope you're getting it. And as I learned that, I actually came up with an easy framework. And this framework I'm actually going to give to you right now so that you can connect with people and make it easy for people to want what it is that you have to help them with. All right. Now, before I do that, I got to be clear about the number one mistake that agents make when they try to grow online. You see, most agents, they believe that the more things they can sell, the more money they can make. Meaning they believe that if they can sell term insurance, final expense, annuities, IULs, whole life, long-term care, college plans, they feel like if they can sell all of that stuff, then they'll make more money. Do you believe that? Because I remember I used to believe that. I wanted to have every single company. I wanted to have every single product because I didn't want to be in front of a person and not be able to help them get the thing that they wanted. But here's the truth. The truth is when you sell everything to everybody, you sell nothing to nobody. On the other hand, let's say if you sell a product to a specific group of people, you can customize the messaging specifically for their needs. Now there's a reason why they should buy it, and there's a reason why they should buy it from YOU. Let me explain. Let's just say that you're a dad and your little girl is looking for some ballet shoes. Now, clearly, you're going to have to go to a shoe store, right? So you go to the mall, and the first store you see is this store right here that says shoes for everyone. But right next to it, you see this store, kids only shoes. Where do you think you're going to go first? Obviously, you're going to go to kids only shoes. So that's the power of putting a stake in the ground and choosing a specific group of people you want to serve, also known as a niche. So building a brand around the right niche acts like a magnet that attracts your dream customer automatically. That's how powerful it is. That's how important it is. Now, once you choose a niche and you know who the person is that you want to help, you don't want to make the second mistake because this is what gets people to scroll right past you. So let's just imagine right now that you're walking down the sidewalk and you see this guy right here holding a stack of money. And he says, hey, man, I got $100 bills here for free. You want one? What's your first thought? You're going to be thinking, what? What's the catch? Is this a scam? This guy must be crazy. Is this counterfeit? Or are you just going to keep walking? Right? So that's what your clients feel when you're trying to speak to them about like all of these promises and this, that, and the third, when you're leading with pleasure like that. Now, let's say on the other hand, you walk by that same guy, but you trip, fall, and bust your head wide open, and now you got this big old gash with blood dripping down your forehead. And that same guy walks up to you and says, hey, man, you want a Band-Aid? Are you going to take the Band-Aid? Obviously, you're going to take the Band-Aid. All right. So you mean to tell me the same person who was just a second ago offering free $100 bills, you wouldn't take the money from, but you would take a Band-Aid from if you slip, fall, and bust your head wide open, right? What's the difference there? Are you getting it? So human nature is a mofo. Human nature is just human nature. We can't argue with human nature. So human nature says that humans will do more to avoid pain than to seek pleasure. Humans will do more to avoid pain than to seek pleasure. I'll prove it to you right here. You already know the next step to growing your business and building it online is actually going to social media. And you've known that for some time, right? But you don't do it. Why? Because it's painful. The fear of rejection, the fear of looking stupid, that's pain. So financial freedom is on the other side of you being uncomfortable and going out there and creating content that attracts people to you, that will get you the results that you want, but you don't do it because you want to avoid pain of rejection. Am I telling the truth? Right? So when you're marketing, when you're putting out messaging, you never, ever, 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 ever lead with pleasure. You lead with pain. Does that make sense? So here's the first thing that you're going to do when you're marketing to lead with pain. You're going to follow step 1A. This is where you're going to identify a real problem that your dream client already wants solved. Find the pain. Why? Because problem means pain, and pain is emotional, and people will do way more to avoid pain than they ever will to chase pleasure. So your job isn't to sell a policy, it's to present a problem they already feel and position your solution as the only way out. Are you getting it? You might be saying, okay, well, Brandon, how do I do that? Well, I made it easy for you. I want you to go ahead and screenshot the video, copy and paste this, do whatever you got to do, pause the video, whatever you got to do. And you're going to use this chat GPT prompt to identify the real problem your dream client already wants solved. This is how you do it. This is a prompt that you can use to literally find out who your dream customer is today, find their pain points, and you can start creating content and doing all of your marketing around this today, literally like right now. After you have that, you want to move on to step 2. You want to create a simple presentation that relieves the pain. Why? Because this presentation is going to serve as the backbone for your system. It's going to entertain, it's going to educate, it's going to build trust, it's going to pre-qualify leads so they're excited to work with you before you ever speak to them. All right. So here's how you do it. The first thing you do is you want to introduce your secret framework to success. What is it that you're promising? The second thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and tell a story about how you created this or how you learned it. Like, where did it come from? We want to know the backstory about this. All right. The third thing that you're going to do is you want to teach them the what, the strategy. So to give you an example of what I do when I'm selling IUL, actually, when I'm selling life insurance in general, that's probably a conversation for another day because let me just give you a nugget while it's on the top of my head right now. When you sell and focus on one product, you will get other products by default. Meaning, if you focus specifically on selling something like Index Universal Life, for the people who don't qualify for Index Universal Life, even if they're sold on it, if it's not a good fit, then we put them in something else, like a term policy or an annuity or whatever it is that might be a better fit for them, right? But we don't market a bunch of different products. We market one concept to get them emotionally bought in, and then we teach them the strategy. So when I'm teaching IUL, marketing IUL, I do step 1, I introduce the framework. Step 2, I tell my story. Step 3, I tell them the strategy. This is the what. So I say, step 1, let's identify where you're losing money, meaning lost leverage. Step 2, let's reposition that cash into a flip system. Step 3, let's borrow to build, invest, pay expenses. Step 4, let's get paid to borrow. And then lastly, we close it down with a testimonial. So you can use this same framework and you can just plug and play and go. Now, after you have your presentation, you want to go ahead and put that presentation on a landing page. This way it works for you 24/7 while you sleep. So then you move on to step 4. You want to link your calendar to make it easy for people to schedule a call, like right when the iron is hot. You want to strike when the iron is hot. You get what I'm saying? So give them an opportunity to book right now on your calendar. All right. Pascal was able to quit his 9 to 5 and he makes $100,000 every single year selling life insurance online. Matter of fact, here's his Instagram profile. He don't even have 1,000 followers. Here's what he had to say.
One of my biggest problems was consistently being able to get in front of people. And if you've been in the business for a while, you know that one of the hardest things is just being able to get in front of interested people that want your service. And since I've been working with Brandon, I've never really had weeks where I wasn't consistently getting in front of clients. I've been in the insurance business for about 8 years, licensed in the state of Texas, and I was doing whatever I can to get clients, right? I was talking to my friends and family, I was going to networking events, I was buying leads, but I was just trying to figure out other ways to market rather than just talking to friends and family or buying leads. My goal was I wanted to replace my accounting income that I was working an accounting job at the time with my insurance business. But I never got to the ability where I was stable enough in order to take that jump. And I remember I came across one of Brandon's videos and he was selling the same type of insurance that I was selling. I was offering Index Universal Life. And I was just starting to post content on my page, and I wasn't good at it yet. And I just needed a little bit more guidance and perspective on how to do it correctly. So I ended up working with him. One thing I will say, it took a little bit of time, but after I got some of his pointers, observed some of the ways he was posting his content, I slowly was improving my content and getting more views consistently in my content. I remember there was a video I posted and I ended up getting like 20, 30 booked appointments within that week from that one video just by taking some advice from Brandon. And that was what eventually led me to quit my accounting job. And ever since, I've made more from the insurance business than what I was making as an accountant. And for the last 2 years, I've made over 100,000. And this year, it's on the pathway to do a similar amount. And I don't think I would have been able to improve the way I did in terms of creating videos and getting people interested in my content if I wasn't working with him directly. Because Brandon, I will say, he definitely has a feel for marketing and understands exactly how to relate to people, because he really does understand a lot of the problems that agents are going through and clients are going through. That's why a lot of people end up gravitating towards him, because he's been through it and understands exactly what people are going through and knows how to solve them. If you actually follow his advice and learn some of the things that he's trying to share with you, you're not going to have a marketing problem anymore. You might even want to turn down some clients because they're not a good fit for what you're trying to look for in terms of a client. So I don't want to make you think it was easy. So if you're looking for something that isn't going to involve you to put in effort, working with Brandon might not be a good fit. But if you're coachable and you're willing to learn and you're willing to take constructive criticism, I think he's one of the best people in the insurance business to work with.
So I want to be clear about who this works for. Number one, it works for WFG agents, World Financial Group. It works for Global Financial Impact agents, GFI agents. It works for PHP agents, people helping people. It works for Symmetry Financial Group agents. It works for Family First Life agents. This works for Primerica agents. This works for Experior agents. This works for any life insurance agent who wants to sell IUL, annuities, whole life, anything online. All right. Now, some of you might be thinking, all right, well, Brandon, I barely have enough time to breathe, and now I'm supposed to build a whole presentation too. Look, I done felt the same exact pressure, so I know how you feel. But here's what I found out. Most people stay busy doing things that don't actually build anything. It's kind of like the story of the guy chopping wood. I think it was Abraham Lincoln. This might be the Abraham Lincoln story. But basically, it kind of goes like this. This guy tells him, like, hey, man, you need to sharpen your blade. And he says, I don't have time to sharpen my blade because I'm too busy chopping. But if he would have stopped and sharpened the blade, he would have been able to cut the wood faster, cleaner, easier, right? And that's what your presentation is. It is sharpening your blade. So you can either spend the next year chasing dead end leads or begging for referrals, or you can spend a few focused hours creating the one thing that brings the right clients to you. You build it once, let it work for you while you sleep. Now, some of you might say, okay, Brandon, I get it. The presentation is important, but I don't even know how to build landing pages. And I get that too. But here's what I found out. You don't need all that from day one. If you got a phone and a YouTube account, you can start right now. All you got to do is record the video, upload it to YouTube. You can pin it to your profile. You can share the link. And then that one video is more powerful than any leads you can buy ever. And then once you see this working, that's when you can plug it into a funnel, into a system that runs for you 24/7. But don't let not knowing how to build a funnel keep you broke. All right. Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, Brandon, I can do the presentation. I can post it on YouTube. But what if I do all this work and then I still don't get leads? What if this only works for Brandon? Well, you know what? There was this man named Colonel Sanders, the man behind KFC, and he had this recipe. It was a presentation that he took to 1,009 people before somebody finally said yes. 1,009 rejections. Most people quit after 5. And if we're being honest, most people never get started. And what I found out is that it's not about if it works, it's about when it works. And the people who win in this business, they're not the people who are smartest. They're not the flashiest. They're the ones who keep presenting the right message until it hits. And then that's when everything changes. So if you've been doing what doesn't work for years, why not give the thing that actually makes sense a few weeks? You get what I'm saying? All right. So again, that was secret number 1, the instant influence framework. Step 1, identify the real problem your dream customer is struggling with or want solved. Find the pain. Step 2, build a presentation that solves that problem. Step 3, create a simple presentation. You can use my selling framework to create desire. And in step 4, you want to put that presentation on a landing page and link it to your funnel. So now we're moving on to secret number 2, the expert authority method, which is how to be seen as an expert, even if you don't feel like one yet. Key point, perception shapes reality. Let me tell you the story about this guy named Malachi Love Robinson. 17-year-old kid was able to convince people that he was a doctor. He had a white coat, had a clinic. He was even treating patients. Now imagine that. A 17-year-old kid with no medical degree was examining patients and giving out medical advice. How did he pull it off? Simple. He looked the part and played the role with confidence. People trusted him not because he had any real qualifications, but because he projected the image of an expert. And when he presented himself with that authority, people bought into that perception. Perception meaning what? He had on a white coat, he had the stethoscope, he had his glasses on, he looked like a doctor. Because perception is reality. Perception, what people perceive, how you look, how you sound, that is what shapes reality. Now, I'm not suggesting that you fake it like Malachi, because you fake it like Malachi, you're going to end up in jail like Malachi, and don't nobody want to go to jail. But the lesson here is powerful. The lesson is, even if you don't feel like an expert right now, it's not about how you feel, it's about how you present yourself. Because when you project with confidence and knowledge, people are going to see you as an expert even before you fully believe it yourself. All right. Because at the end of the day, if your mouth is closed, your business is closed. You might want to write this down. Matter of fact, when you go to sleep tonight, I want you to think about this. If your mouth is closed, then your business is closed. So, how often is your business closed? I'll never forget this night when it clicked for me. I'm sitting over here in the front row, 2 hour train ride ahead of me. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, why am I even here? This ain't even working. Why is it so hard for people to show up to these meetings? Why is it so hard to get people to invest money in a policy for their retirement? Why is it so hard for this? Why is it so hard? And I thought to myself, nobody has to tell me to come to these meetings. Nobody has to tell me that I should buy life insurance or I should own life insurance. Nobody has to. And I was like, that's it. Nobody has to tell me I'm doing it because I want to do it. I thought deeper, like, well, why do I want to do it? And then that's when I looked up and I saw my upline at the time, Leland. He was standing at the front of the room. And then that's when I realized that I'm here because of him. The influence that he had was what attracted me to the environment. He's the one everybody's listening to. He's the one that people bring their cousins to, their friends to, their family to. Why? Because he's the one that's going to close, right? He's the one that people trust, right? And then that's when it hit me. I knew every single thing that he knew, but the difference between me and him was what? I was sitting in the stands. He was on the stage. That's when it clicked. I got to get from here up to here on the stage. So what do you have to do? You got to go from being a consumer of content on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever you consume content. You got to go from the consumer of the content, meaning being behind the screen, to the one on the screen. And so that's what I did after this meeting. I went up to him. I said, hey, man, I want to be able to do what you do. How can I learn how to do what you do? And he gave me a simple step-by-step framework that I'm actually going to share with you right now. So what is it? Step one, model a message that works. You're going to find somebody who's successful, somebody who's already achieving the result that you want. You study their style, their approach, their presentation, because this way you don't have to start from scratch. You start with something that already works. You ever heard the saying, don't reinvent the wheel? Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't need to be reinvented, right? So what you do is you record their talks. You break them down. You write out the presentation step by step, focus on the key points. This is me, 1:30 in the morning one night over at his house, and he's teaching me his whiteboard presentation. So what does this actually look like? Well, let me go ahead and play this for you real quick so that you got a pretty good idea. Here we go. If you did have a plan, the way that it would work is that if your money would come out of your gross, it would be attached to the stock market. And that means that you would have a 401k. And basically, the market goes up, your money will go up. The market goes down, your money will go down. Market goes up, your money goes up. Market will go down, your money will go down. So basically, your money will be attached to the stock market. And there's two rules that are associated with your plan if you're putting your money in a pre-tax account for your dollars. The first rule is a rule of 59.5, and then they have the rule of 17.5. So what they teach most people is that. Right. So whatever agency you're in, if you got to upline somebody who's successful where you are, record what they do. And then after you record it, you want to practice what they do. And you do this in private. Why? Because this is where you build out your confidence. Okay. And you do it over and over because repetition is what builds your confidence, right? When you were in high school, college, did you play sports? Did you play a musical instrument? Yeah, no, maybe. Have you done anything in your life that you had to practice? So I played football. Well, I played a lot of sports, but football was my main sport. If you play a sport, you don't just show up on game day, do you? You practice, right? You practice more than you actually play the game. Am I telling the truth? So now in your business is your sport, your business is your game. You must practice, you must prepare. And that's how you build confidence, by practicing in private. Are you getting that? Hopefully you're getting it. So you can use your phone, you can use a mirror, or you can use a partner. Now I'm going to share this video and I'm embarrassed to play it, but I'm just going to play it anyway because we all got to start somewhere. I was somebody who was extremely uncomfortable being on camera and recording videos. And ultimately, it's just one of those things that we all have to get over if we want to get to the next level. So I'm going to play this in hopes that it encourages you to know that it's okay to look stupid, because I look stupid here. So I'm going to just go ahead and play it. Like a 401k is directly tied to the stock market. And everybody knows how the stock market works. If you don't know, I'm going to explain that to you as well. So when the stock market goes up, your money goes up. If the stock market goes down, your money goes down. If the stock market goes up, your money goes up. If the stock market goes down, your money goes down. I cringe every time I play that video. Hopefully you're not laughing too bad at me. All right. Anyway, so after you practice in private and you feel confident enough, then you're going to pick the platform and you're going to present it live. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, right? From this point forward, you do not present one-on-one. Why don't you present one-on-one, Brandon? That's what they told me to do. You don't present one-on-one because you have, number one, no leverage. Number two, no authority. And more importantly, when you're speaking one-on-one, what happens is the person that you're talking to has their sales guard up. How many times have you been on an appointment and somebody just sitting there with their arms folded and all you're trying to do is just ask them the questions that you need to ask them in order to be able to make the appropriate recommendations for them? They don't want to tell you anything. It's because their sales guard is high, right? When you're talking to a group, nobody feels like they have to say yes, because why? Because the focus is on the problem, not on them. Okay. Because one-on-one people get self-conscious, right? Don't you get self-conscious when it's one-on-one? When it's like somebody new? Like, matter of fact, if you just in the elevator with somebody, do you even say hello? Do you even speak to them? If it's a stranger you're on the elevator with? I mean, some of you might, but that's not often. Right? So same thing here. When people are one-on-one, they just get self-conscious, right? But in a group, they can just sit back, they can evaluate, they can focus on the problem and on the solution, and not how you're trying to sell them. As a matter of fact, you're watching this video right now. This is literally one to many. There'll be thousands of people who actually watch this video. And as you're watching this, do you feel like I'm trying to sell you something? Absolutely not. Because if you did, you wouldn't even made it this far, right? Now, another reason we don't present one-on-one and it's better to present in front of a group is because people see that other people are engaging, they're nodding, they're listening, and that gives you a feeling of social proof or testimonial. Because they look around, they see, man, all these people are interested in what I'm interested in. All these people are struggling with the same thing that I'm struggling with. Man, if all these people are interested in this too, then maybe I should be too. Now, that's what it does for your client. But more importantly, this is what presenting live and in front of a group and getting your brand out there on social media does for you. Number one, it pushes you out of your comfort zone. Growth lives on the other side of fear. Once you go live once, the game changes, because it's going to let you know that you don't have to be perfect. All you got to do is show up and lead the conversation and be the one holding the mic. Why? Because people subconsciously associate public speaking with knowledge, credibility, and authority, even if you're just getting started. When you present live, your audience automatically thinks what? That, dang, this person must know what they're talking about. And if you did what I told you to do in steps 1 and 2, you're going to know what you're talking about, because all you did was copy somebody who's already successful, who knows what they're talking about. And now you're talking about the same thing. Are you getting it? All right. And that perception alone makes your message more persuasive, and it makes you feel more in demand, even if it's your very first time. Okay. And I want you to think about this, because as we move into step 4, let the position do the persuasion. I want you to think about your whole life. Well, maybe not your whole life, but from 5 years old all the way through college. Who is at the front of the room? The teacher. Is the teacher the expert? Yeah, well, some of y'all might have been more intelligent or smarter than your teachers. Sometimes it happens, right? But the teacher's supposed to be the expert. But without a doubt, who is the authority? The teacher. When you go to church on Sunday, if you go to church or wherever you go, who's at the front of the room? The preacher. And the preacher is what? The authority. So are you getting it? Are you getting it? They're the one behind the mic. So in your business, that's got to be you. Why is it you? Because, well, let's take a look at what you do. For those of you who are watching this, who help people with advanced strategies like retirement planning, annuities, IUL, whole life. For the people you who are watching it like this, what is your job? Is your job to teach and educate your clients? Right? You got to teach them how things work, how these pieces go together. But more importantly, to get them to the next step, you have to what? You got to break beliefs, overcome objections. And that's what preachers do. So it's almost like you're a teacher and a preacher. You guys getting it? All right. Do you think that you can follow those simple, easy steps and be seen as an expert, even if you don't feel like one yet? Hopefully you can. Now, once you go online, I got to drop this in right now. Once you go online, the most important tool you need for running a 6-figure life insurance business online is what's called a customer relationship manager. This is called a CRM. You have to have this, or everything that you're putting out online is going to just be for nothing, because you're not going to be able to collect names, emails, phone numbers, not going to be able to do any follow-up. It'll just become a nightmare. The CRM that I suggest you use is called High Level. You can go get it at gohighlevel.com. It only costs you about $97 a month, and it literally does everything. It's your landing pages, your funnels, your calendar. It does call tracking. You can text from it. It runs your entire business, but you're definitely going to need that to run your business successfully online. All right. So that was secret number 2, the expert authority method, how to be seen as an expert, even if you don't feel like one yet. So we had step 1, model a message that works. Step 2, practice in private. Step 3, pick a platform and present live. Step 4, let the position do the persuasion. All right, so if you follow secrets 1 and 2, you got your presentation, you have your confidence, and now you're probably thinking, how do I get people to show up without spending a dime on ads or chasing leads? And this is where most agents get stuck, but this is also where everything is going to change moving forward, because this secret is how you can create viral videos that consistently attract premium leads without ads, cold calls, or a big following. All right, so let me take you all the way back to 2020 during COVID, when the world shut down and I really hadn't figured out. Now, earlier I said I used to go live every day, but what I didn't tell you was that after every single time I went live, I would go back and I would rewatch the video. And as I'm rewatching this video, like game tape, I would analyze myself, right? I would say, all right, man, next time I need to say this different, or next time I'm going to do this better. Not only that, I was able to take the long form content, the video, and I was able to take little snippets out of it, like 30 seconds here, 60 seconds here. And I would take one line and I would move it to the next part, and I would drag it, and I would do different things right there. But I didn't know it at the point in time. I was training my delivery, I was training my eye, and training the ability to see what moved people and what didn't. And then one night I actually posted this clip right here, and I went to bed like nothing happened. Next morning I wake up, my DMs is blowing up. I got comments, appointments. I had like 1,000 followers when I went to bed. I had over 10,000 when I woke up. My calendar was full. And I'm just sitting there thinking like, man, what did I just do? So I go to the post and I ran it back, and I started looking at it like, okay, I guess this was a good post. But I didn't really fully grasp what I had done at that point in time. But the more I watched it and I started looking at other people's content who started going viral, that's when it hit me. It wasn't just what I said, it was how I said it. You see, I thought I had got lucky, but what I accidentally found was a formula. And then once I learned this formula, everything changed, because once I saw it, I could repeat it. And then once I repeated it, I could teach it. And once I taught it, it became a system. So now I'm going to show you the system where you can take one post and it becomes a magnet, a funnel, an engine that works for you 24/7 while you sleep. And the best part is that it's so simple that you can start using it today. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly how it works. So before I go into it, I'm just going to go ahead and play the video. And every time I watch this video, I cringe a little bit again, because I'm a little bit embarrassed by it. But hey, we all got to start somewhere. Remember, all I had was my $40 whiteboard and my phone. So I'm going to go ahead and play it for you right now. Thing is, this thing right here, 401k, that's actually a tax code. So they don't tell you it's a tax code, but it is. You can look it up. All right, so we're going to use these tax codes instead: 72E, 101A, and 7702A. And we're going to create our own cash flow management system, because that's what the tax code said we can do, inside of a life insurance contract, just like the banks. Let's say we put 10,000 in here. Number one, your money is insured. The second thing is you're going to get growth up to 25%, depending on the company, and a guarantee of 0%. Everything that you earn inside of this bucket is going to be tax-free. Also, you have access to it. That means it's liquid. This is typically my advanced course. If you want to sit down for like an advanced course, I host webinars, private webinars, so that I can show you the mechanics. All right. So that was the video. And now let's go into the framework of that video. So what is the first thing that you're going to do in order to create these virals? Well, the first thing you got to do is you got to stop the scroll. This is what you call a hook. You got to start with a line they can't ignore. It's got to have punch. It's got to make them stop and be like, wait, what? What did they just say? In the video that you just watched, the hook was what? Well, there's a few things going on, because it doesn't have to just be one hook. It can be visual. It can be music. It can be a picture. It can be really anything that can stop the scroll. And so when I made that video, I knew that I had to get people to watch the video. And for some reason, I said, well, nobody's putting music in their videos. Let me use music to see if I can get people to stop. And I know with that particular song, if you're in the Bay Area, you already know what that song is, what that song is about. And so I was like, I know anybody who hears this song who's from the Bay Area or knows this song, they're going to stop at least for a second to hear it because of the beat. The beat just gets you, right? It's boom, boom, do 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 do. Hey, it just slapped, right? So that was the hook. It stopped. It made people say, "Wait, what?" And then it transitions right into, you see, the funny thing right here is this 401k is a tax code. All right. So now if you have a 401k, you're hooked. You see how it goes? Bam. And then I move into step 2, which is tell a story. Now, the story inside of that video that I just shared, it wasn't really that much of a story. All I said, the funny thing is here is like a 401k is actually a tax code. They don't tell you it's a tax code, but it is. You can look it up. That's how I used like a short 1 or 2 sentence story. When you're telling your story, you want to make it feel like you're talking to them. Just keep it real. Just make it clear. And then you move into step 3, which is showing them a better way. Now here, this is where you don't want to give away the system and like try and tell them every single little detail, because you're going to lose them. If you just want to give them enough to shift the way that they think and then make them want more. And that's what I did in that video. So what did I do? I started breaking down how you can use the tax codes and how you can put money in this account and how it could grow up to 25% and how it was tax free. That was showing them a better way than the what? 401k. Then step 4, you got to tell them exactly what to do next. This is a call to action. You got to lead them straight to whatever it is that you're giving away. If you have a presentation funnel, you want to give them a presentation funnel. If you're doing a webinar, you want to tell them about the webinar. If you want them to just share the post, you tell them to share it. If you want to tell them to like the post, tell them to like it. If you want them to follow you, tell them to follow you. If you want them to comment a word, you tell them to comment. That's all you do. All right. So in that last video, what was my call to action? At the very end, it was share. But then I also hinted that I do free webinars. All right. And so here's an example of a post where I have people comment the word legacy. And when they comment the word legacy, this takes them into a sales funnel with a presentation that promises the thing I'm going to deliver. Now, what I want to do is show you what this looks like in real life to let you know that this is not theory. This is what happens when you use the structure right. I'm actually going to share this with you in 1 second. This post got 800,000 views. Look at all this watch time, 332 days, 14 hours and 56 minutes of watch time, right? This is like a mini presentation, like 332 days of presentation time in this little one video. How long would it take you to do that many presentations or pitches? Because all this is really a pitch. If you want to be successful in running your business online, from this day going forward, you're not going to be on social media just consuming content. You're going to be analyzing content. You're going to be studying it. So that way you can create content to get people looking at what it is that you have to offer. And so we're going to go through a quick exercise right here. We're going to watch this clip, and I want you to see if you can spot the 4 steps: the hook, the story, the framework, the call to action. If you don't have anything to write with, just pause the video, go get something. But as I play this video, I want you to write down hook when you hear the hook, write down story when you hear the story, write down framework when you hear me transition into the framework, and then write down CTA when you hear me transition into the call to action. So let's go through this one. In a brilliant move, Caleb Williams tried to avoid taxes by asking the Chicago Bears for a very unusual contract structure. Let me tell you what he did. So apparently during the contract negotiations, Caleb Williams asked the Chicago Bears to pay him as an LLC. This would have gave him some serious tax benefits. But guess what? The NFL wasn't having it. And it kind of makes you wonder, why wouldn't the NFL agree to this? Which basically means what I think is a brilliant request hit a dead end. But what if there was another way Caleb Williams could get similar benefits and tax advantages? So let's take a look at successful coach Jim Harbaugh, who recently just won the national championship, coaching for the Michigan Wolverines, and just signed a contract to coach the Los Angeles Chargers. So when Jim Harbaugh took his head coaching job at Michigan, the university actually agreed to compensate Jim Harbaugh in the form of a life insurance loan. This is what's called a split dollar arrangement. Now let's break this down step by step to see how Jim Harbaugh structured his deal with Michigan and how it could work for other athletes like Caleb Williams. This represents the agreement between Jim Harbaugh and the University of Michigan. The contract details outline how the split dollar arrangement will work, which includes the loan amounts and the terms of the agreement. The policy that Jim Harbaugh owns is an index universal life insurance policy. This is a policy that has a cash value and a death benefit. This is the core of the split dollar arrangement. The University of Michigan then provides loans to cover the premiums of the policy. These loans are typically interest bearing and are meant to be repaid from the policy's death benefit. Harbaugh then takes the money loaned from Michigan and he uses that to pay the premium of the index universal life policy, which grows at an average rate of 6 to 10% 10% per year. Harbaugh can loan against his policy's cash value at a 5% loan rate. This means that even though he's borrowing money, he's still earning a positive spread on the cash value in the policy. These loans are tax-free and they can be used for anything like paying his expenses, making investments, or even funding his retirement. Now, upon Harbaugh's death, the life insurance policy pays out a death benefit. The first part of that death benefit goes back to Michigan to reimburse them for the loans and the interest that they advanced Harbaugh. The remaining part pays tax-free to Jim Harbaugh's family. So just pause for a moment and imagine the flexibility this offers. Harbaugh can take loans from the policy's cash value without paying taxes on the amount borrowed. This provides a stream of tax-free income that he can use however he sees fit. Now, if Caleb Williams could negotiate a similar deal with the Bears, he'd enjoy similar benefits: tax-free loans from the policy's cash value, tax-deferred growth of his investment, and financial security for his family. Meanwhile, the Bears would recover their investment from the policy's death benefit. So while the LLC payment idea didn't work, a split dollar arrangement could be a game-changing alternative for Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. It's a win-win for both parties. If you thought this was really interesting, follow me for more tips on how you can eliminate debt, avoid taxes, and build generational wealth. All right, that's it. We got the hook, the story, the framework, the call to action. Hopefully you got all 4 steps. And now whenever you're on social media, or even if you're on YouTube, you'll see ads and a lot of them will follow that framework. All right. Now, to make this as easy as possible for you so that you can start using this today, because some of you might be thinking, well, Brandon, I don't even know how to write a story. I don't even have any framework. How do I even create all this stuff? So if that's you, I want you to go ahead and copy and paste this into ChatGPT the next time you are on it. And hopefully you know what ChatGPT is and you're using it, because this is definitely a tool that you're going to want to, you're going to need to know how to use if you want to be successful moving forward. All right. So you're going to take this prompt, and this right here is going to help you create viral videos. And this way you can start attracting clients organically, directly through social media. All right. So that was secret number 3, the organic lead machine. Essentially how you turn one simple video into a stream of high quality leads without ads, cold calls, or a big following. So step 1, you hook, you make them stop the scroll. Step 2, you tell the story. Step 3, you show them a better way. Step 4, you hit them with a CTA. Tell them what to do next. All right. So as you can see, selling life insurance used to be impossible, but not anymore. Now, with that being said, I want to ask you a quick question, because if you followed what I showed you in secret number 1 and you recorded a presentation that made people want to buy life insurance from you, and then you did what I showed you in secret number 2 and used the expert authority method to be seen as an expert, even if you didn't feel like one yet, and then you use secret number 3 to get traffic by creating viral videos, do you think you could be successful with this? So if you said yes to all 3 of those, then there's only one thing left to do. The one thing left to do is to overcome the fear, because this quote right here by Les Brown hit me the first time I heard it, and it still hits me today, because what I realized, what kept me from being successful in the earlier part of my career, was fear. And I'm willing to bet that for most of you watching this, it's fear that's keeping you stuck right now. And he says here, too many of us are not living our dreams because we are living our fears. And that's why most agents are stuck. It's not bad leads or broken systems. It's literally just fear. The fear of showing up online, the fear of being judged, the fear of saying the wrong thing, the fear of building a brand that actually puts your name out there. But the truth is, nobody's coming to save you. Right? The agents who win in this business, they're not the ones with the best scripts. They're not the ones with the best upline or the cheapest leads. They're the ones with influence, and the people who go out there and stop hiding. They're the ones that go out and get seen and decide to build something bigger than just another insurance hustle. And everything that I just gave you is exactly what I would do if I lost everything tomorrow. It's exactly what I would do step by step to get myself to making $10,000 a month as fast as possible. So the only question now is, are you going to keep living in fear, or are you finally ready to build the brand, the influence, and the freedom that you got into this business for? That's on you. All right. And I pray that this training was valuable. I hope there's some things that you can start using right away to start consistently getting you to the income that you want, the income that you deserve. And as a man of my word, I did promise that if you stayed to the very end, I was going to give you a copy of my IUL Selling Secrets playbook, which is the exact playbook I used to write over $10 million in premium. That way you have something that you can refer back to help you get to the next level. All right. So all you got to do is click the link down below, and then you're going to DM me the word done. And once you DM me the word done, I'll get it right to you. All right. I'll talk to you soon. You take care. Later.